Good morning, students. I hope all you are well and fine. Your days are going on very well and everything is okay. So, students, today we are going to discuss about chapter number 5 from the book of Flamingos, and this is for CBSE board 12th class. So this video lecture will be in a complete English, and our next video lecture will be in Hindi. So let us look this chapter, and today I will tell you the summary. Actually this chapter is very long, and I do not know how I can put it in a limited time. So anyway, if it will be taking a little bit long, so don't be discouraged. Please hopefully watch this video, because you think that you are studying and you are sitting in a classroom and you have almost 40 minutes of period. If you think that, so definitely you can watch the full video. So be blessed and keep watching and keep practicing. So before entering to this lesson, I would like to request you, please, if newly you are watching my video, so please you subscribe this channel as well as hit the bell icon also. So let's begin. The incident which led Gandhiji to urge the departure of the British from India. This chapter is regarding of historical background, and something happened during the time of ruling time of British. Okay, such way Mahatma Gandhi done something and asked for the peasant or the farmers, and that particular thing is discussed in this chapter. So it is a fully historical chapter. So that is why it will be little bit long. Okay, this is not story either. This is not something novel or anything else. But this is a history. So that is why we need to study it according to the way of history. As I told you, this chapter is for 12th class, and this is the name of the book is Flamingo, as well as and this is for CBSE board. So chapter number 5, the title of the chapter is Indigo. Once again I tell you, Indigo. And the writer of this lesson is Fischer. Okay. So the incident occurred in 1917. Gandhiji attended the annual convention of Indian National Congress in 1916, or in Lucknow. About 2,300 people gathered there to participate for that particular convention. And many visitors were present there also. Actually, the delegates were 2,300 and many visitors were there also. A poor skinny peasant whose name was Rajkumar Shukla. Somehow he heard that Gandhiji is a person, one who is helping to the poor peasant, and one who is raising his voice to those who are doing something wrong to the society, and especially to the British. So that is why he has come here to request to Gandhiji that Gandhiji would go with him to Champaran to solve the problem what is going on in the Champaran. So somehow he met to Gandhiji, and Gandhiji assured him to go there, but before going there, Gandhiji told him that before going to Champaran, but he had to go some other places like especially Kanpur and some other places. He supposed to go there. So actually the problem is that those sharecroppers were in Champaran, they were oppressed by the British and they were suffering and in a certain situation, and that situation should be solved by other person, and Rajkumar Shukla heard about that Gandhiji can do that, so that with a great faith and with a great ambition and with great that passion, he has come there. So the peasant revolt paid off. Gandhiji told Shukla that he had to visit Kanpur and some other places. Shukla waited him patiently and accompanied with him. And after that, what happened there, when Gandhiji, wherever Gandhiji went, he accompanied with him. And when Gandhiji returned to his ashram, so Ahmedabad, Shukla followed him. Finally, Gandhiji agreed to accompany him to Champaran after his Calcutta visit. Actually, Gandhiji was not a simple man, and after coming or after returning to the India, he was arranging different conventions, different meetings, and he was so busy to go here and there, and to whom he would meet and to whose problem he would solve. That is very, that is very critical, and that is very tensionful work. But somehow he agreed to go with the peasant whose name is Rajkumar Shukla. So in that time, the visit of Rajendra Prasad house, so they reached to Bihar and they wanted to meet to Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. You know him very well, and you know him very clearly who is he, and he is the person, one who is advocate at the same time after he became the president of National Congress India, and at the same time he became the president of India also. We know that very clearly about him. So when they reached to Dr. Rajendra Prasad home, Mahatma Gandhi and Rajkumar Shukla, both of them, but Rajendra Prasad was not there at the home. That is the problem, and somehow they stayed that night there. And the servant of Rajendra Prasad, he treated them to the peasant at the same time to Gandhiji untouchable manner, and he didn't permit them to draw water from the well. That was also something different work there, and a different situation was there which faced by Gandhiji. So Gandhiji visit to Muzaffarpur. So actually Gandhiji is a person without looking the situation, he never takes any decision, because whatever he hears and his desire is that so he should face that and he should see that by his eyes. After that he takes decision. So such a way he wanted to know what is the real condition of the peasant or the farmer, and because of that reason he went to Muzaffarpur. Gandhiji wanted to have more information about the condition prevailing in Champaran. Before visiting there, he sent a telegram to Professor J.P. Kripalani and stating that he wanted to meet him. Kripalani and his student received Gandhiji and Shukla at Muzaffarpur station. Gandhiji stayed at a government school teacher Professor Malkani's house, which was unusual because it involved harboring a man who advocate home rule in a smaller localities. The Indians were afraid to show sympathy toward advocates of home rule for fear of the blackish from the British. Okay, now this is the part when he reached to Muzaffarpur, and it is true that he reached and he stayed at a government school, and to know more about the situation of that particular area, means in that particular area, especially in Bihar. So then after Gandhiji and a campaign of peasants, so when the people came to know that Gandhiji arrived here, and a multitude that rushed toward Gandhiji, and they wanted to meet to Gandhiji, and they wanted to say what is happening over here, and they wanted to say how the British are pressurized them to cultivate more indigos, and as they are not purchasing that indigo and according to the profit, but they were taking that etc. So all these things they wanted to tell to Gandhiji. So let me read you what is there. The peasant got to know that a Mahatma whose mission was to help them was in Muzaffarpur. So they came rushing to Muzaffarpur to meet Gandhiji. Their campaign, Gandhiji met the lawyers who briefed him about the situation. They told him about the fees they collected from the sharecroppers, and Gandhiji criticized them for collecting high fees. Two things are there. First thing is that the sharecroppers and peasants, they are coming with a great multitude to meet Gandhiji. At the same time, he asked something to the advocate and about the situation. The advocate also, he briefly said everything, what situation is going there, and what kind of fees they are taking from the sharecroppers, and that was something wrong, and because of that reason Gandhiji criticized them. Okay, because of that reason Gandhiji criticized them, and after then there is a conclusion, Gandhiji's conclusion. What conclusion is there? Let me read for you. The Champaran district was divided into large estate owned by the Englishmen. Okay, Champaran district that has been divided into different part. It is a large district, and also that was divided by the Englishmen, and they compelled their Indian tenants to grow indigo on 15%. Okay, so a particular district is this, and in that district all the peasants they were forced by the British to cultivate, to grow 15% of indigo from their land. That was the major problem for the peasants, and the farmers were deprived of the indigo harvest, and the entire production of indigo was to be given as rent. Okay, that was very problem time, and that was very difficult time. Entire indigo they used to give that as rent. So, impact of German synthetic indigo. There was another problem also was there. So, now German started to make synthetic indigo. Actually, synthetic indigo means that is made by human being and that is made by machine. At the same time, the Indian peasant they were cultivating that in their field, and when the German synthetic that grown up, automatically the rate or the cost of the original indigo that reduced. That was also very problem for them. Okay, that was also very problem for them. Because of German had developed synthetic indigo, the value of natural indigo had gone down, and those growing it bad because unprofitable. The landlord changed or compensation of the releasing peasants from the 15% arrangement. Some peasants signed the agreement willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers. Soon the news of German synthetic indigo reached the peasant, so they wanted to their money that they had paid to compensation back. They have invested money for compensation, and soon they knew that German or synthetic that would be making them trouble, and so that reason they wanted to get back their compensation. So that was the thing. And Gandhiji arrival at Champaran. So finally now Gandhiji arrived to Champaran. Actually, before reaching to Champaran, Gandhiji heard many things from there, and finally he entered, and finally he reached to Champaran. Gandhiji arrived at Champaran. He visited a secretary of British Landlords Association for details on the matter. Okay, when he entered there, so he went to meet the secretary, one who was working under British. The secretary refused to divulge any information to him, stating that he was an outsider. Okay, that the secretary did not want to give any information because he says that he is outsider. Outsider means the matter is in about Bihar, and the fellow means Gandhiji who have come from Gujarat. That is why he says like this: you are outsider, means Gandhiji is outsider. Gandhiji claimed that he was not an outsider. Gandhiji also contacted the commissioner of Revolt. However, the commissioner tried to bully Gandhiji and advised him to leave Revolt immediately. Okay, so first of all he met to secretary, and the second time he met to commissioner. Both of them refused to give any answer and to give any clarification. Gandhiji defied commissioner's order. Now, when the commissioner said that he must leave that particular area, so Gandhiji was not agreed that notice or with that notice or with that order. So that is why what he says here: on his way, Gandhiji was ordered to come back. He did so. Thereafter, he was served with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Or Gandhiji signed it and wrote that he would disobey the order. He was summoned to appear in the court the next day. Okay, so he refused it, and due to that reason, next day he is supposed to appear, or he was summoned to appear in the court the next day. A busy night, peasants ultimated support to Gandhiji. Actually, when Gandhiji was in court and many peasants were gathered together, there are thousands of peasants, and they gathered there. When the officers, government officers, have seen to the multitude, and they became helpless, and their power goes down. What happened really there? Let me read for you. Gandhiji remained awake the entire night. He telegrammed Rajendra Prasad to come from Patna with influential friends. He also sent instruction to the ashram and telegrammed a full report to the Viceroy. The news of Gandhiji being in trouble with the authorities spread fast. Thousands of peasants come to Matihari and demonstrated in front of the courthouse. This was the beginning of their liberation from fear of British. The officials were powerless and sought Gandhiji's cooperation in regulating the crowd. This was proved that the British authority was no longer unchallengeable. Okay, due to this incident, British were absolutely helpless, and due to this incident, the peasants, they were fearing once upon a time. They had no idea how to raise their voice, and they had no dare to raise their voice. They had no dare to face to the British. But due to the encouragement of Gandhiji, now they are ready to face British. And that was the first revolution of the people. Okay, that was the first revolution of the peasant as toward the point of liberty. As toward the point of liberty. The authorities were perplexed. Seeing the peasant in such strength, the prosecutor wanted to trial to the postponed. They probably wanted to consult their superior. Gandhiji protested against the delay. He read out the statement of pleading guilty. He clarified that he broke the law to give humanitarian and national service, and claimed to have no disrespect for law, but greater respect for the voice of his conscience. Okay, so actually directly he replied there, and he already wanted to respect for his voice in his conscience. The 2-hour recess at the court reconvened. Gandhiji was asked to furnish bail for 2 hours. Okay, furnish bail means, and there was put a case, and so that Gandhiji now in the court, and he allowed to have 2 hours bail. Gandhiji refused to do so, which resulted in his getting released without bail. The judge withheld judgment for several days, and Gandhiji was allowed to stay free. prominent lawyers held a discussion with him about what they would do if Gandhiji was sentenced to prison. Okay, so such way Gandhiji was roaming there freely, and many days he has stayed there, and the case was lingering, means that case was going ahead and there was a question, if Gandhiji would be present, what will happen? Gandhiji influenced the lawyers. Now Gandhiji started to influence the lawyers. Gandhiji also studied law, and he is supposed to become a lawyer, but when he has seen situation of India and the behavior of British, so finally he became he became a revolutionary and Mahatma. In the event of Gandhiji's arrest, the lawyer decided to return to their place. Gandhiji asked them that if they choose to leave, then what would happen to the injustice to sharecroppers? They consulted among themselves and thought hard and came to the conclusion that if Gandhiji, being a stranger, was ready to go to prison, then they, being resident of the adjoining district, who knew the case so well, should also court arrest with Gandhiji. This was the beginning of the victory in the battle of Champaran. So now there was no dare to put into the prison to Gandhiji, because Gandhiji was not alone. A multitude, love of people, and the people themselves all were there, and that is why they didn't do anything else to Gandhiji, and that was the beginning of the victory. Okay, that was the beginning of the victory. Remember, Gandhiji have come to India 1915. And he started his revolutionary work 16, or now the incident is 17. Only 2 years. After that, gradually the years have been grown, and many things had happened that I am not going to tell you all the historical background. But when you read the history, then you can understand. Gandhiji is summoned by the governor Sir Edward Gate. In June, Gandhiji was summoned by Sir Edward Gate, the late governor. Before he went, he met his associates and chalked out the detailed plans for evil civil disobedience. In case he was imprisoned, he had 4 interviews with the lieutenant government, who ordered an official commission of inquiry into the Indigo sharecroppers issue. The commission consisted of landlord and government officials. Gandhiji was the sole representative of the peasants. Okay, now Gandhiji was the representative of the peasant. Even that office is working in different way, but Gandhiji's work was not the same way. His work also was something different way. So peasant agreed to make a refund to the planters agreed to make refunds to the peasants. Now what happened there? The planters, they agreed to return the money what they have taken from the peasant. Okay, so why? because the peasants were not interested to cultivate or to grow such they didn't want to grow indigo, because there is a problem of or comparison or competition with the German synthetic indigo. A lot of evidence was collected against the landlord. They were left with no choice but to agree. In principle, to refund the money to the peasant, Gandhiji was asked to quote the amount which was illegally and defeatfully extorted from the sharecroppers. The landlord expected that he would ask for the full amount, but Gandhiji demanded just 50%. He finally approved that landlord's proposal of 25% returned to break deadlock between the peasant and landlord. The landlord have taken more and more money from the peasant, and now Gandhiji took or got many evidence. Many evidence. There was no other way except returning the money to the peasant, because with having proof, Gandhiji fought for the peasant. And that is why the landlord agreed to return the money. Gandhiji explained his stand. Gandhiji justified his stand by saying that the amount of refund didn't matter. What mattered was that the landlord were obliged to surrender part of their prestige. This incident had made the peasants courageous. They realized that they had rights. They realized that they had right. The later event proved that Gandhiji was correct. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estate, which were given back to the peasants. Actually, that was not matter to take more money, but the matter was that how they were making depression and they were depressing to the peasants. So after having this incident or after having this event, the peasant got a lot of encouragement. And now they have hope. But previous they were hopeless. Gandhiji dissatisfied with the political and economical solution. He studied the economical solution and he studied the political situation. When he compared both and he mixed both and studied about very clearly, then he was not satisfied in the system of politics. Gandhiji wanted to remove the cultural and social backgroundness in the village of Champaran. There is something old tradition, and Gandhiji wanted to reduce the tradition from the area of Champaran. He sought volunteers for the work. Two young teachers who had just become his disciples volunteered for this work. And how his heart desire was, when his heart desire come to his heart, and he wanted to have some people who could assist him, and both teachers newly they were disciple of Gandhiji, and they come up or come forth to Gandhiji, and they wanted to help to Gandhiji. So several others come from Bombay, Pune and other places. One doctor also volunteered his services for 6 months, and Devdas, Gandhiji's youngest son, arrived from the ashram to carry forward his work. Primarily, schools were opened in 6 villages, and Kasturiba, Gandhiji's wife, taught the ashram on a rule in the personal cleanliness and community sanitation, because the health conditions were really poor. Castor oil and quinine and sulfur ointment were the only medicines available for curing ailments. Now, in this paragraph, we have seen both incidents. First incident was, many people have joined with Gandhiji, and they wanted to participate in this revolution or in this particular work. At the same time, his son also came and joined with them. And there, if we think about Kasturiba, means Gandhiji's wife, and she also started to educate the people and about sanitation, about cleanliness. So cleanliness is most important, because without cleanliness we could not be healthy. So that training she was giving, and here and Gandhiji also struggling for the patient in the Champaran. So both of them working in a different way and a different angles, but somehow both of them, means Gandhiji and his wife, both of them involved as for the dedication for the dedication to their motherland. So managing the ashram from Champaran, Gandhiji sent instruction by post and kept a check on his ashram's finance and account. He also kept in mind the ashram's sanitation. He instructed the residents to fill the old Latin trenches and dig new ones. So, as he was outside, but he was collecting the news. He was collecting the news from his ashram. From his ashram. At the same time, and he ordered to pitch the tank, and once again to dig another tank. The Champaran episode, a turning point in Gandhiji's life. Actually, this incident that was turning point of Gandhiji. How it is? Let me read for you. Champaran was not an act of defense against the authorities. It was an attempt to reduce the suffering of the masses. It showed that Gandhiji could not be ordered about in his own country. It revealed that Gandhiji's politics was speed with the practical day-to-day problem of the people. All his efforts were directed toward making a new free Indian who would liberate India. A lesson in self-reliance. Okay, that was main thing. Gandhiji says, those who help themselves and God helps them. This is the statement of self-reliant. This is the statement of self-reliant. Self-reliant means not to depend on anybody and we do our own work ourselves. That is called self-reliant. So let me read for you. Gandhiji, devout follower, and Charles Free Andrews come to bid farewell to Gandhiji in Champaran. Gandhiji's lawyer friends wanted to urge Andrews to stay on and support their case. However, Gandhiji strongly opposed this. He said that one must rely upon oneself to win the battle. It was meaningless to use Andrews because this shows weakness. One would never become an independent and overcome hardship in this manner. Thus, the Champaran episode, self-reliant and Indian independence were held together by a common thread. So, I hope you might have understood this very clearly. Once again, I request you, if newly you are watching this video, so please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon also. If it is possible, my next video will be in Hindi. Sorry, this is very long video because the lesson is also very long. Thank you. May God bless you.